虽然说玩风暴的时间并不是很长，但是我们5名队员，已经在之前的一款模板游戏已经在一起，生活了有2年多了。
在训练时间，他会为我们做很多，包括班 pick 上的一些说法、想法，以及对地图的理解之类的，都会一一的去跟我们沟通。
一路杀过来的嘛，就最大的一些困难的话就是自己一些状态。因为我们有时候可能会比赛的时候，自身状态会比较不是很良好，那么我们就需要花很多时间去调整自己的一些状态。我现在最忧虑的就是队员的一些身体情况。我对现在成绩就是我们能获得暴雪嘉年华的那个资格，
会让我觉得我这么多年的游戏道路没有那么辛苦的白费的坚持下来，会让我觉得我有成功，最大的成功，也会让我的国家获得无上的荣耀。
We're definitely one of the hungrier teams for this title. I think we've had a lot of hype surrounding our team ever since when we first started playing.
We've been practicing about 8 hours per day going to this event, and everybody has been spamming a ton of Hero League. We want to get really comfortable in our heroes coming into this tournament.
One of my favourite dynamics for the team is we all like to joke around with each other. We're all comfortable with each other and we all hang out a lot. There's a lot of joking in-game, out-of-game, but when we have to get serious, we get serious.
I don't really have to tell people to practice because everyone is motivated and they want to be the best and they try their hardest all the time.
With Diginatas, I think we show that we have 5 incredibly strong players who all have the ability to make our own plays on the map. We can create situations from anywhere. I think we're very confident in our ability to play every map and play almost any style.
All of our players have pocket picks. Having those kind of versatile picks really gives us a boost in our drafting.
We're really coordinated. We can turn any situation that looks bad into our favor.
For me, winning at BlizzCon, it would be really awesome because we'll be the first team whoever gets the title.
And I think it'd be really cool to, say, oh yeah, we're representing Europe and we came into the first World Championship and, we smashed it. Like, that would be an awesome feeling.
Well, guys, it has been quite a day, has it not? Welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm World Championship. We have had some incredible matches, and they are not going to stop because we have another great one planned for you. It is a bit of a rematch. First, your blue team, coming from China, has a lot to prove against their opponent. It is YL. And their opponent from Europe, the red team that originally knocked YL into that lower bracket, it is Team Dignitas. Now, as I mentioned, Dignitas did, during opening weekend, originally knock.
So it's really pulled them back into this game, that one engagement.
Taking down a wall already, as we have no flank coming out from Dignitas just yet. Zagara laying in way towards the back here for a moment, but still a lot of the damage being done. SBY jumping out of there with the Dwarf Toss, keeping himself alive. Liang also throwing down forwards that Shadow Dagger to make sure he can slow down the power from that fort, but towards the bottom lane overall. I think that Web Weaver did get the fort and is going to be pushing on further.
All right, so that Web Weaver is pushing. That rest have been cleared, but it looks like they're not feeling comfortable leaving this fort, and that's because if they leave it, the moment they leave it, YL will push in and be able to pick up another fort from that too. They're really trying to mitigate. They know it takes a little while for the Web Weaver to push up all the way to the keep structure, so they have time. Now they're rotating down Johanna, now that they feel safer, that they're not going to lose another fort.
Yeah, it's definitely true. They've got to make sure that they can clean up all of these locations, and it is a risky little business when you've got to actually try and defend these locations as well here through towards the middle, especially since that fort is so low here. Eldraune's might forwards. And Dignitas just gonna have to back off. They are not finding the fights they want at all in the past couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's been a low engagement game so far, really, between them, with that one big engagement really being the only 5-on-5 we've seen so far. Really focusing just on the battleground objectives, keeping the lanes pushed as much as possible. They know that is so important on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
And I'm wondering where Dignitas' blow-up potential is for them. I mean, you look at the damage, yeah, you've got the Johanna, yeah, you've got the Zagara. The Zagara's a little bit more sustained damage, though, in these fights. I mean, they can survive for quite a while, but unless they're able to actually find that kill. And as we have Xiaodi now power sliding forwards, but just came backing up for a moment.
Yeah, a lot rests on Jaina, and you saw a lot of damage went down on the ETC because of that, but we have a mosh pit going, and right now, Leon in a lot of trouble.
And also moving forward here, Xiaodi trying to get in the middle of all of this, but also Sylvana's going down. That Sanctification so took quite a bit of damage there. That's going to be a 3 for 0, and Dignitas really get the better end of this trade here as they push on towards the middle. Get the Web Weavers turned in as well. Oh my god, ADRD, sneaky guy. And overall now, that is a big turnaround here for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, that's huge for Team Dignitas as they're moving in. They've already gotten a fort. They should be able to pick up the top one as well if that's what they want to do. But honestly, they've already got this pushed so far up to the keep structures. 2 towers in front of the keep are more experienced than a fort, and they realize this. They know they've got their 16 talents on top of it. This is a huge window of opportunity for them to start to really pull this game in their favor.
Very, very powerful at the moment, and if fights keep going like that, well, we see the Sanctification. It didn't do massive amounts, of course, but it forces the disengage during the later parts of that fight from Team Wild, where they can't really do anything. It's up to Xiaodi to really control these fights along with SBY on the Muradin, but Xiaodi did not have the room he needed in that fight at all.
As we see the Web Weavers pushing in, it looks like the top will be the place of battle, and I mentioned it before, that's because this is where the boss will push. If they can start to get these towers down, start working on the keep as well, they could pick up a boss, and then from there, get some takedowns, and that is win condition.
Still level 16 talents here for Dignitas, still pushing on quite aggressively. SBY walks forwards, there's the holy ground to try and seal SBY in. Doesn't quite happen though, still has Dwarf Toss available to him, even if it did, as they will back off for now. They're happy with the wall, and then from that point on, maybe they've got a few more gems that they can turn in. Actually, they've got a lot of gems that they could turn in.
Yeah, they have enough for another turn in right away. We'll see if they do it. They also have to watch out because it's 47 already in the bank on YL's side. So we'll see if they choose to do any sneaky boss moves or if they just don't feel confident with leaving the turn-ins at all and just want to pick it up. It looks like that is the case.
Still more Web Weavers. Control that top lane. Get that pushed out as far as possible. Thankfully for YL, they've got themselves the hard camp, so that will equalize things up a little bit in the mid lane. But if Dignitas pushes in aggressively into the mid lane to clean that up to start things off before the Web Weavers descend, I think that's a good little tactic there.
Yeah, absolutely. What you want to do is you want to try to push and pull your opponents around in trying to defend you, because you have the hope of being able to catch someone out of position. But while they have 16, they know this is a time if they're going to get into engagement that they might have to do so, because the more structures that Dignitas take out right here, the closer and closer they get to the Storm tier talents.
And every single time Athero jumps forwards with that Eldraune's Might, he has holy ground available, so if he catches someone on the corner, that could be quite good. That's it, he tries to catch the Uther straight away into it. That's the Divine Shield, also silence onto it. Oh, that paw goes on just in the very last second there. On towards Johanna, ETC ends up falling. The sustain is enough here for Dignitas to continue on, but they bring down the Uther, and ADRD still with their damage coming out onto DD. He has to back away.
That Divine Palm was everything in that fight, and now Team Dignitas are even chasing down SBY. The Blizzard will ensure that they take out yet another hero. Nobody down on the side of Team Dignitas, and this will be a keep, Lars.
The is a big deal here at the moment. There's still 20 seconds left. They could get even more if they wanted. That web weaver down towards the bottom is still pushing here, and Dignitas is going to rotate on around, get themselves a second keep as well. They are extending a very, very strong experience lead, and Team YL is on the back foot for now.
Indeed they are, Kylara. Still 21 seconds even until Murden is up. 2 keeps go down, and this looks fantastic for Team Dignitas. You mentioned it before. This was their battleground, and I think we're seeing exactly why.
Yeah, I talk about the holy ground, and then bam, and you see Arthur just taking advantage of it on cooldown. They could even rotate around to boss if they wanted. They don't have to, though. That's all important. They could with the lead that they have in levels, but doing it before level 20 especially, and with the entire lineup up, is quite risky, because that could just easily be Team YL turning the entire thing around.
Yeah, honestly, they are even so close to a turn-in yet again. They've turned in 48. They have the 2 big, the heroes holding a big amount of gems turned in. Now, YL, though, they know that they're very close to a turn-in. They also know they're on the same talent tier, so this might not be where they want to, where their opponents might not want to fight. They are able to get a turn-in finally.
Oh, nice little swim chain already going down on top here. It's also silent, so we can't actually get out of it. Oh my god, the 3-man ball going down. That's a bad ball, it's beautiful. Elder is right across the line, keep them in there with the sacrification as well. Brilliant pick up ball towards ATC. Dignitas is able to turn that fire around with Athero almost going down, thanks to the Divine Palm saving him with another Elder Rune's Mind Forward, trying to chase on down towards DD.
DD is on the run now. It's like Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner, and they will be able to pick up all of 3 people down. Storm tier talents have been picked up. SBY trying desperately to slow them down, but Thunderbird won't be enough. They're going for the core. Team Dignitas will be able to pick up game 1 in this best of 3 rematch.
Beautiful execution here overall. Once those level 16 talents come in, you can really see Dignitas gathering so much momentum behind this composition, and they were able to run away with it. 11 kills to 3. That is the core going down, and that is game number 1 to Team Dignitas here. They are 1 game away from moving on to the semi-finals. What a performance by them to start things.
Yeah, I mean, it started out, and it was even, but man, once they started keeping control, the turn-ins, once they started getting a lot of takedowns and being aggressive, then we really saw, and you mentioned the level 16 talents, we also had Northern Exposure on top of that holy ground that was oh so important, but I cannot say enough about those Divine Palms. They were so on point.
I mean, it's what we were saying before we actually went into the game, Kubi. Bakery is pretty good on Karazim.
Yeah, that seemed to be a pretty big factor in that series. So I gotta say, yeah, the Pake replay was on point, and actually in the Windows 10 game DVR replay that I'm about to show you guys really does exemplify some of that play. But more importantly, on top of that as well, we also had some very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this right here. And I think the big thing to highlight at this point in the replay is that they are forcing aggression from YL because of the turn-ins. So we see Xiaodi actually moving in, and they throw quite a bit of damage onto the Johanna player at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and advance it really quick. But this is where we see an amazing point where every single skill shot is thrown down from Dignitas. We have the Roach Pod is being thrown down. Even on top of that, we have the Blizzard, the Bless Shield as well. Everything gets thrown onto ETC to punish this. And it's kind of a weird play because it's the Warrior. He's the one with the most HP pool. But they know that this is the hero on YL that is going to be oh so extra aggressive. And they see this as a weakness, and they're going to punish it. They don't quite end up getting the kill. So we're going to go ahead and advance this really quick right here. But they get an incredible maw. AD is able to lock out these 2 heroes here. There is absolutely nowhere that ETC can run. He has to get the Divine Shield. So we'll go ahead and play this from really quick right here. This maw forces a bad position. As soon as this maw gets out, you can see a lot of damage being thrown down. An amazing making use of that wave to get out. But look at Bakery. Jumps over the wall, gets additional takedowns. And this is not even having to use Divine Palm at this point. A great Sanctification moves out right here. This is what allows them to get even more aggression, moving up. They're able to take more takedowns. Just really, really good rotations from all the abilities on this team, showing why Dig is an amazing team.
Yeah, it's a scary composition to go up against as well. Obviously, you know, having this Tyrael Sanctification choice available to them, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we see Team YL adapt moving forward. And I mean, do you believe here that like a Tyrael ban is justified?
Yeah, that plus the Divine Palm from Karazim, it's so scary. They just will not die. And Wild tried everything. They really did, but there was nothing that they were able to do as they went on, once they picked those up and really got their momentum going.
Yeah, it's a very scary thing to go up against. Of course, we will be getting into game number 2 in just a little bit. But before we do, let's hear from Team YL about what they think and their captain moving forwards here in the World Championship.
现在成绩就是我们能获得暴雪嘉年华的那个资格，我们是很自豪的。
我们是非常感谢我们的队长的，因为每次打比赛以及在训练时间，他会为我们做很多，包括班 pick 上的一些说法、想法以及对地图的理解之类的，都会一一的去跟我们沟通。
从技术上，可能没有我们其他个别的人要强，但是他的头脑非常好用。
比赛之前的话，就会选一些比较激情的一些歌曲来听一听，尽让那个感觉澎湃一点。林肯公园的歌曲，我们非常喜欢。我家人的话，就对我走这一条道路是蛮支持的，到时也是会在网络上观看我的比赛。
Today, we retake our homeworld, and with it, our legacy. My life for ire. StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void. Pre-purchase now at StarCraft.com.
One damage away from victory, they bring in Matter Bomber to seal the deal.
Now this guy really loves dynamite, Jim.
But it doesn't look like it loves him, Bob. He's blown up his own team.
5 for 5, though.
Hearthstone, play it free. Rated T.
The grand return of Annoyatron, and Bob, I wish it would end right now.
So this guy doesn't have a sword or anything? He's just, like, annoying?
Like looking in a mirror, isn't it, Bob?
Oh, this doesn't look good.
Like you in a mirror?
That's Hearthstone.
Play it free.
Rated T.
We started playing as Bob. It was when ADOD had been from Gamers 2, and 3 of our players had started playing from SK, and then we found a third ranger who started playing the game. He'd been a friend of mine before we started playing Heroes of the Storm. So it was around that time that we were like, okay, we're 5 really strong individual players. A lot of us have experience in the past. We have the knowledge. ADOD's an incredibly smart captain and drafter and a shot caller. So I think if we said if we put all this together, I think we can make a top level team.
Something that is very, very uncommon, having us Brits at BlizzCon, aside from the caster's desk, of course. I've said it once and I'll say it again because we're all rubbish at video games. But there you go, as we have Diginatas at the moment 1-0 in the lead here against Team YL. And when we look at it as overall, we saw Diginatas gain, having huge power spikes towards the end of that game there, Kubi.
Yeah, and I think a big thing was the draft. Honestly, they were able to take out so many of the key parts of what WoW has really shown to be see one of their few strategies in the fact that they took out the Tyrande, they took out the Kerrigan, they said, we'll just see what you have left over, and it wasn't enough. So what does YL do? IR was already looking for YL to do something very different. We didn't quite see that, and now when you have your back to the wall, YL, you need to pull out these strategies.
Yeah, it's one last game to keep themselves alive here. I mean, Gilly, looking at how YL have been able to play out not only the previous series against Team Dignitas, but also this one, have they got the chops to still stand up to Dignitas here?
They definitely have the chops. They know how to catch somebody out and be able to take them out very quickly. Capitalize on that, if you will. But the problem is, they themselves are getting caught out now by Team Dignitas. So Team Dignitas, if you will, are kind of showing them a bit of their own medicine. So they need to, I guess, execute on that better if they're going to keep running the same very aggressive strategy.
All right, well, speaking of strategies, we are ready to go into our game number 2 draft here between these two teams. Get hyped, ladies and gentlemen, because right now it is Dignitas with one game away from being able to move on to the semi-finals. And if they do that, oh boy, they'll meet up against Navi, and that will be an amazing little rematch indeed. As we get into the draft, and already Abatha going to be banned out here by Team YL. So for this map on the Battlefield of Eternity, very important.
No, that means that Dignitas opted to take the map choice, whereas YL, having lost that game, had to choose between the two. They took the first pick, first ban, giving up this map. So Dignitas perhaps has something planned out here, and they know that Dignitas is really, really good on Abatha, a very, very strong pick.
Yeah, what is interesting to me is YL almost always chooses to have the Battleground pick here.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to me already that we're seeing they're foregoing that to have the first pick. And I'm wondering if maybe they want to ensure that they have the Jaina here.
Yeah, I really like that Dignitas is just sticking to the same ban strategy. Take out the Tyrande, and if it comes to it, take out the Kerrigan. If nothing else, you're going to force them to take Kerrigan early if they absolutely must run it, and they can play her on the draft from there.
Completely agree with that. It's a really, really strong takeaway from this. I mean, they've judged and assessed their previous series against them so well. What was causing us the most problems? It was the Tyrande, it was the Kerrigan potentially, but the Tyrande is the scary thing. Hunter's Mark, with anything, is going to be able to blow you up.
Tyrande especially too, because YL were running the solo support up with Tyrande. And I'm thinking maybe they don't feel quite as comfortable with that with the Tacitar. So taking that out forces them to play a more standard support then, and they can't be super aggressive in the early game because they don't have her.
Yeah, and in this case, previous game, they ended up picking up the Uther quite early. Not going to be the case here. They're taking Jaina, which ends up filling out that sort of very aggressive burst of damage that Tyrande sort of was with the Hunter's Mark. If they're able to catch targets, Jaina is always the hero that you want to have nearby to dish out the damage and finish the job.
Then we have Uther Tyrael coming out, so not even any opportunities to get to the next ban phase to make sure that they can try and deny Tyrael, because Dignitas is prioritizing this. And actually, when I think about it, Uther and Tyrael, that's a lot of invincibility.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, a lot of it too. And Team Dignitas, they know what is working for them.
Yep.
They absolutely know. They're saying, fine, we'll take Uther and Tyrael, ban what you want. We'll fill in from there. Maybe you ban the Kael'thas versus us. We'll figure it out from there, but this is what's working for us, and we're going to take advantage of that.
I so love these two heroes getting picked up. We were looking to have GIA pick up either of these two heroes against YL to try to counter that super aggressive strategy. Dignitas saw it and said, yeah, we'll jump on that. We'll take him first two in the rotation.
Sonya coming out, and then Muradin coupling it up here for Team YL, so a very, very strong front line with strong burst capability as well, right?
Right, absolutely. They've got Jaina, they've got Sonya. They both can be able to jump in and deal a ton of damage very quickly to one target. But we mentioned it before, Uther and Tyrael, that both of those things are going to be able to mitigate that for the one person. And then once you've done that, especially if you're able to stun the Sonya on top of it, they're going to be able to throw a ton of damage on her and be able to take her out.
What is going on right now?
Smart ban. I tell you that, my friend, because in the end, Dignitas, the one thing that European teams have really, really valued is sanctification with melee assassins. We've seen sanctification with Kerrigans. We've seen sanctification with Butchers as well, as even on this map. So there is the potential down the line that we could see that come out for Dignitas.
Now we are on Battlefield of Eternity. Some of my friends call it Battlefield of Indeedity even. But we've got Team YL, and they've got a lot of bursts. We talked about that too, but what we will be looking for as Dignitas starts to pick up their damage dealers, as well as YL filling out their ranks, is how fast they can take down that Immortal versus if they're looking to try to win a team fight and then go back to the Immortal, because that's generally the two different types of compositions we have.
Good point. And we got the Kael'thas picked up. That's Snitch's favorite hero. We saw this so many times in the opening week. And the ETC. Now, with the Tassadar ban and the potential for Force Wall, ETC kind of countered by that, especially if you're in those enclosed areas, which we can find a few of those on Battlefield of Eternity, especially around the objectives. So perhaps that's what they're looking for to secure this pick.
Yeah, it's step by step by step, right? I mean, you want to get rid of the Tassadar, and then you take away the ETC, which Team YL is normally very comfortable with themselves. So in the end, now they pick up a Zagara on Battlefield of Eternity, which overall, a very good pickup for vision and for actual proper map control.
Yeah, they banned both of the really big vision granting heroes between Tassadar and Tyrande, but Zagara still picked up for Team YL, and Zagara is fantastic on the battlefield because of her creep and because, like I mentioned before, the fact that she can provide consistent damage when it comes to fighting those Immortals. They're going to round out their composition with Malfurion as their support.
They could go for anything at this point. Dignitas, I'm going to say at 100%, they have YL on the back foot in this draft. And we've referred to ADRD as the mad scientist. I know, Kalaris, you like to call him that. And you're talking about everything going step by step. Vala, like, at this point, like, they could grab any damage, and it just feels like, you look at YL's composition, this is not what they like to run.
No, not at all. It's a very, very difficult. And I like that you bring up the fact that I call him the mad scientist, and then he picks Vala, the most constant, the most usual pick of all time. Thanks, ADRD, for proving me wrong, jeez. But I've got to ask you as well, Kubi, here, looking at how this battlefield plays out, looking at how there's all these interactions in the middle that are very, very slow fights. Normally, I don't like Malfurion as a healer on a lot of these situations, but actually in this one, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it absolutely can. He does have a lot of that heal over time, but this is not the style that YL really wants to be playing. Sure, they have the Muradin, Sonya, and Jaina can be a bit aggressive, but they're looking for something else. That Kerrigan, maybe the ETC, things that they have shown that have made themselves very comfortable. If YL is going to establish themselves as a force to be reckoned with in this event, they need to see and show a diversity of playstyles. This is the match to do it.
Yeah, and this is their last chance. Thank you very much, Kubi, for checking in with us once again. We'll go back to you afterwards, but for now, it is game number 2 here between Team Dignitas and Team YL. Get hyped, because this could be the last match that Team YL plays on the stage. They need your support here as Dignitas is on the warpath. Let's get into Battlefield of Eternity as we have to the left-hand side. It will be Team YL with DD going to be playing on Jaina. Guij will be playing Malfurion. Liang is on Zagara. SBY is on Sonya. And Zhao Di will be playing Muradin. Then to the right-hand side, we have our red team. Up one game at the moment in this best 3, it is Team Dignitas with ADRD on Valor. Athero will be playing Tyrael. Bakery is on Uther. Snitch on Kael'thas. And finally, Zarmony going to be rounding things out on the ETC.
All right, the gates are open and we are on our way. Both teams heading toward the center of the battleground, but probably to try to help Zagara start to spread out that creep. That's what we're going to be looking at from the side of YL, and you see she's already placing tumors. Being able to escort her ensures that she can drop those without getting caught out, which is what we maybe saw Dignitas trying to do.
Yeah, and we already actually see a little bit of a trend here for Team YL. Shando's Clarity level 1 from Malfurion to aid Zagara once again, similar to what they were doing in their previous series against GIA. So it's a very cool little stylized choice that they go for here, not wanting to go for the Moonburn, which arguably can help you out a little bit more against those Immortals, but you trade it off for extra sustained damage with the Zagara, who arguably has more sustained damage.
Right, she's going to do more damage than the Moonburn would anyway, so it's a great point that you make there, Kylaris. The Shando's Clarity is going to be there. We might see them follow up again with the Elun's Grace as well, giving more range to his basic abilities. That will enable him to be able to throw out those entangling roots and be able to catch somebody out if, say, they get a good maw or even a stun from Muradin.
Right, well, Zarmony just going to head on around here against SBY, and actually he's got himself in a bit of a predicament with that nice power slide, trying to still lock him down. Battle blocks, though, not going to be enough. Very close on towards the kill there on SBY. Not successful.
Now we look at ETC and we see a little bit of a change up in the builds, as a lot of times we've been seeing the increased range on his power slide. Instead, this is going to be Prog Rock, so gathering regeneration globes is going to increase the healing of Guitar Solo, so trying to make sure that he is as tanky as possible for these prolonged fights, knowing that there is a lot of damage on the side of YL.
I won't be surprised if we see even that power slide talent coming in at level 4 to then help out those potential ganks. Having that a little bit extra reach is very, very important. As Zarmony at the moment leading the charge here with ADRD, you're going quite far as the Valor overall, but looking to just defend this location, and actually almost got punished there by DD, looking for the flank around the left-hand side.
Up top, both teams are still soaking the lanes. That's very important in this first fight, because if you can get to level 4 first, that's going to ensure that you have a little bit of a window when you can start to deal damage on the Immortals. But generally, as we see Dignitas choosing to defend, that's because it's a lot easier to fight underneath your own Immortal than to try to get into an engagement underneath your opponents. There's a lot of stuns that can come out from those Immortals.
Still the slowing down here as this fight continues on. You can see that Tyrael wasn't with them, trying to soak up some experience towards the top lane, but now he's coming in. Eldrain's might forwards, doesn't manage to get any target whatsoever. Still the movement around here. Xiao Di holding them off on his own up towards the top. Dignitas not looking to hard engage just yet.
Yeah, Dignitas know that the damage is definitely at this point in favor of YL, which is why we're seeing them choose to defend there as well. As I mentioned before, it's a lot easier to defend, but the poke damage has been really, really good for YL. Even though they have been pushed off consistently, they still have a good chunk of damage put down already on the Immortal of Dignitas.
We're really looking to slow this down. Still, Tyrael and Sonya go up towards the top for the soak of the experience again. YL doesn't feel too pressured here about what's going on, because they've got that damage, as you mentioned. And they've got themselves the level 4 talents coming in now as well to just kind of round things out. So the experience is very even. And Dignitas playing a much slower style and pace than I'm used to seeing them here on this map.
Yeah, it is pretty slowed down, but the poke damage has been in favor still of YL. YL doing a really good job of disengaging. Haven't been cut out yet, but this might be it as the Gravity Lapse goes down, and Dwarf Toss will save Xiao Di.
Yeah, very, very good stuff. Of all the targets you're going to try and go on towards, Muradin's one of the harder ones to kill in that position. And, well, you've got to try and get what you're given, really, as he is the only one leading the charge. But Sonya, you cheeky girl, being able to pick up this easy camp, and that puts a little bit of a timer on them, especially since the Immortal's going to go down anyway in favor of YL.
Yeah, that was really just a fantastic play overall from YL. The constant zoning. Team Dignitas several times tried to get in there, tried to get some sort of a fight going down to be able to push them off, and then they would pick up the Immortal, but it just didn't happen, and all the while Zagara was taking little pot shots constantly on the Immortal. Finally, we're able to pick that up, and they're going to start to push with it.
Yep. Going up to the top lane here, pushing with this easy camp, which makes it all more deadly. At the same time, though, they've separated the majority of themselves up down towards the bottom, and a big sway of 86% of you guys out there thinking that Dignitas is going to take this series overall, but right now, in this game, YL is on the warpath.
Absolutely, you are correct there, Kylaris. They are about to pick up their level 7 talents. They did get a lot of damage on DD, but were able to disengage there. But we have the first Immortal. It's very weak in terms of the Immortals. They scale, they get stronger as the game goes on. So a lot of times teams will split out and split push into the other lane, and that enables them to pick up as many towers as possible. It's just like we saw with the first Web Weavers in the last game. They're just trying to get whatever experience lead they can so they can pick up their heroic abilities.
We'll have a pause here for a moment as Guij just wants a little bit of a moment here to kind of contemplate and make sure that those technical difficulties are solved. Interesting to look at the builds, though, as well. You know, usually when we look at a Malfurion, we're always expecting Alun's Grace at the level 4, but he's actually gone for regrowth here, so really kind of respecting the idea of not necessarily going for, like, kills with the regrowth, so with the roots or extended roots, the range on the roots. That was hard to say, but actually just going for lots of ours. But actually just going for a bit more stability in these long, prolonged poking fights.
Yeah, I think it plays into a lot of it knowing that their lives are on the line.
Yeah.
This is the last game, so playing a little bit safer, like you said. They did pick up the Shando's Clarity to have more mana for both Jaina and Zagara, but when it comes down to it, they do still want to make sure that they have the rampant growth, the enduring growth, to make sure that they can sustain and have the heals through fights, especially as they start to get up against a Kael'thas who picks up Chain Bomb at 13.
And at the same time, obviously, looking as we have all the talents kind of ahead of us as well here, still we're seeing this very sustained position coming out from our Sonya builds as well. There is the potential that you can go for, you know, your Shot of Fury and also your follow-through at level 7. I don't even think it's called follow-through on Sonya, I can't quite recall. They already changed a load of the names on time to time. But still more focus on the healing, more focus on just keeping alive in these things. And as you say, it probably comes back to just everything being on the line for them.
Yeah, feeling like they need to play safe, but they can still do this, and showing that in their builds. And you mentioned it, like they have Warpaint, they have the Ferocious Healing on her. Looking at what else they have too, I did not see what we had on the Zagara, but it could even be the Rapid Incubation there too, to just try to make sure that they have whatever sustained capabilities they can for themselves, and knowing that the damage, the AoE damage will be a lot once Kael'thas starts to come into his build, and then Vala, who's going for AoE with her multi-shot build as well.
All right, well, I think we can actually get back into our game now here in game number 2, as we jump right back on in to Battlefield of Eternity. All of our issues have been solved, and we're already seeing this Bruiser camp here with the Fallen Shaman going to be trying to take in by Arthuro to apply some pressure while, or I suspect, to delay it for then the Immortal to come up.
Yeah, as soon as the Immortals go down, that's exactly when teams want to start going for their mercenary camps. But it looks like in the bottom, we're going to have a push coming out from Wild. They know that that's already been opened up by the Immortal, so they're going to start escorting these Khazra as they start to throw out their spears onto the structures of Team Dignitas.
Yeah, they're an annoying couple of Khazra, and we end up killing a lot of them off in Diablo 3. No reason why we won't kill another little 3 down towards that bottom. As we have this, once again, this Bruiser camp trying to equalize things out, and I feel overall that this is going to be better timed out for YL, because surely very soon that next Immortal should be coming up.
Yeah, and the top one, remember, it was picked up earlier by Sonya too, so it's not even quite on cooldown yet and available. It may be that that comes up during the Immortal phase once again. So both teams moving around, starting to clear out their lanes, making sure that there's nothing pushing against them as those Immortals start to spawn. But an important note, we have nearly a full level lead for YL already, and if they can start to get some damage done, if they could even take out this fort, then they're looking at having their heroic abilities before their opponents as the Immortals will start to spawn.
They're going to have strong vision in the middle of the map as well, with Endless Creep being picked up here by Liang, so not as much sustain for him specifically, but when you've got a Malfurion on your side, especially if they go for hard and focus later on down the line, you don't really need that kind of rapid incubation. You just want the vision in the middle, you just want to know when those flanks are going to be coming around, and also causing your opponents to spend mana on actually cleaning up the creep as well.
For sure, the middle area with the Immortals is so large and open, and there are lots of vents where you can possibly get into a situation where someone is caught out, like what might be happening right now is both teams starting to back up, disengage, trade out a little bit of damage, but I mentioned it before now, we nearly have level 10 for a while. Dignitas realizing this are trying their best to make sure they're getting whatever experience they can, but they also, that leaves their Immortal pretty open, but so far while playing this back, just choosing to defend, not really going aggressive toward the Immortal.
ADRD went in very thick there, and he actually almost got stunned out with that Storm Ball. It didn't hit though, so he was able to get away with his Volt. Zarmony taking a lot of damage. He's probably going to end up going down here, very, very close to death, and he will be the one to go down. That is a great pickup. That is first blood going over to Team YL, and he chased them all the way back to this Immortal as well, so they have a great opportunity to do big damage with their level 10 talents as well.
Yeah, that takedown ensured that they got their heroic abilities. They have Devouring Maw, Tranquility, Wrath of the Berserker for Sonya, as well as the Ring of Frost coming out in Avatar, and knowing that they were able to have that window where their opponents don't have their heroic abilities, they also had lost their ETC, that's when they start to throw a lot of damage down on the Immortal. I think we'll see more of the Immortal fights happening this way for the teams.
Already putting on more and more pressure. That's going to be another Immortal going over to Team YL here. They've got good control of these Immortals so far, and it's actually going to be quite beefy, to be honest with you. Harsh shields as well, considering the damage that Dignitas did on the other side. Their talent 10s have come in as well. It's going to be Mosh Pit, Divine Shield, Sanctification, surprise, surprise.
Of course.
With the Phoenix, and finally Strafe.
All right, so we have a blue Immortal for YL once again pushing. It looks like it will go to the bottom. More damage has been done up for the top fort, and we'll see how they choose to engage with it. Knowing that the top fort is fairly low, I like this decision to push in with this. If they can get a takedown, then they can ensure the fort. But otherwise, they always know that they can rotate up and finish off that fort once they have take him down this one, for instance.
Yeah, it's China. It's got to be aggressive. Let's go aggressive, guys. Let's just push on in and be very, very powerful and in your face. At the moment, they have a good opportunity to. The Immortal really hasn't taken too much damage whatsoever. Using that Hydralisk for guaranteed damage on towards the tower. Getting another tower almost guaranteed here. Brilliant moves by YL, just backing off and going up to the top lane for some juicy experience.
Yeah, they're heading up there already. They're a full level lead, still in control of this, and more importantly, in control of both of the lanes. They've taken down a 4. They're working on this one. I mentioned it's down to half health too, so they could start to maybe put pressure on this, especially if they could pick up those Khazra up top, start to rotate in, to protect those while they throw damage onto the fort.
And Team Dignitas looks to be getting a bit aggressive. We can see Tyrael's positioned down to the bottom left there. Maybe he was looking for a flank, but he realized that Liang had too much vision on him. And that Hydralisk, well, chase him for days and then burrows into the ground. Not much he can do about that.
This is a scary point for Team Dignitas because they want to get into a fight before their opponents get another level lead on top of them. But they also don't want to just give more experience to their opponents because that furthers that difference between the experience. So they are able to clear out the Khazra, keep that fort alive. We still have plenty of objectives in the form of mercenary camps on the battlegrounds. Both teams probably going to start to rotate around and get those where they can, but they really have to be careful here, as if YL sniffs this out, they could come in and try to steal these away.
Yeah, they could have for sure. They're playing the safer route though here. Still, once again, we have to reiterate that YL's life is on the line in this game. This is the composition that they have decided is going to try and continue their life in this tournament. So it has to work. It has to work here against a composition in Team Dignitas, which I don't really mind at all. I think they still have good flexibility here.
Yeah, it really seems like YL, realizing that their strength has been in being able to take out those Immortals, are pretty content to just say, we'll get whatever other objectives we can take, but we don't need to play that aggressive way that we were playing. We can focus on winning the battleground objective and then winning off of that, continuing to push in, win by attrition almost versus Team Dignitas.
And now with these Immortals spawning, they're positioning themselves to get some good damage done already at the very beginning. Even trying to zone out Dignitas on that right-hand side. You could see their movement here down this right-hand side to just say, no, you are not coming in here. Even if it spawns here, yeah, we'll do some extra damage. And it's such an aggressive stance as well. Icy Veins get picked up. Already half health has gone down.
Yeah, this thing is burning down so fast. The Immortal is falling so rapidly. Beleth already at half health as we go into the halftime show. And because Dignitas had to rotate around and take out those minions, they're just now finally getting into defending this when it's already so low.
This isn't the fight that Dignitas wants. It's level 13 against level 12 at the moment, but they feel forced to take it. So this is a very, very scary moment for them. They don't know where Shouty is at the moment, as he will come in here, down from the bottom, trying to go in towards ADR. The Sanctification's been used, but it's been used in a form that was very, very defensive, and now they're going to have to back off without that available.
Yeah, absolutely. YL can feel completely comfortable with coming back into this, and they're going to take out the Immortal. Team Dignitas, realizing that they had burned that Sanctification and didn't get what they wanted out of it, tried to just go back and put as much damage as on their Immortal as they could, just trying to limit the amount of shields that would be pushing, because these Immortals are getting stronger every single time.
Yes, they are, and they're going to do quite a bit of damage up towards the top. At least Dignitas has the consolidation prize of having level 13 now available to them, but it's not enough to warrant this Immortal pushing forwards, which YL has had full, strong control over all game long. SPY is getting very, very aggressive into the front lines, but he's not going to use the opportunity to dive on someone.
Interesting talent choice as we continue down with beefing up the guitar solo for ETCs. We have Groupies. So going to be providing a little bit of heals for his team, mass heals. So they have that, they have Uther, and they have the shield from Tyrael just trying to sustain. We talked about there's so much damage from YL.
Yeah, and it continues on and on and on, and there's a lot of healing coming out of Malfurion as well. They haven't had the opportunity to get onto Malfurion, and as level 16 approaches, again, if he goes hard and focused, I'm very, very scared here for Team Dignitas. They don't have the engage that they want at the moment. Their keep is being pushed down pretty hard here, and that is already a big chunk of damage being done. Dignitas feels that they have to take the engage.
But the disengage is so good for these. They still even have the Devouring Maw if they needed to further that disengage, but it looks like SBY is coming around from the side. Will get Shrink Raid though.
Yeah, Shrink Raid as well as Gravity Lapse. Good lockdown there for him. They're going to have to throw down that Sanctification to try and keep themselves alive. Muradin takes a lot of damage. Bombs being passed on there towards the Yang as well. As Muradin ends up falling. That's a good turnaround here for Dignitas. One kill to start things off. Maybe they'll focus on SBY. He is quite in the thick of things. There's the Gravity Lapse. A lot of extra damage. The Mosh play as well as sailing out two of them. A brilliant little move here for Dignitas. 3 for 1. ETC falls. And Athero, it does not want to go any further, but DD is almost certain to die here with another good Gravity Lapse pick up. 4 for 1 trade for Dignitas. 4 for 2. Haha. You're not getting away with all of that.
Snitch does go down, but it's so important to note that the fact that you get more experience for takedowns when you're the team behind, this has pulled Team Dignitas back into this game so much. They're at the same talent here finally. They're only about half a level behind, and it's so perfect for them because it's almost level 16 and almost the next Immortal phase.
And it's all on the Sanctification again. Once you see YL committing in as far as they do, Dignitas is like, right, okay, we are now gods for 5 seconds. You can't do anything at that point, and then Muradin has to use his Dwarf Toss to get away, and he's the one that's falling in these fights where he's supposed to be the guy that's always sustaining, always staying alive, but it's just not the case here because their focus fire is on point.
Yeah, that's kind of been the issue, and I think that's why we've seen YL be so hesitant to get into the full engagement. We saw them try to go after it when the Sanctification was used earlier, not to great effect, but otherwise that hasn't really been too much of an issue, but here we go.
So the Sanctification goes down there from Tyrael very, very early on in this fight, not wanting anything to actually happen. Holy Ground's been used as well to try and seal out these warriors. You can see Zamani on the other side. He's unable to do anything here to try and save Athero as he is on to the day long damage. Here goes the strafe as well. Big damage going down on towards Sonya. She ends up falling. Uth is down, yes, but the flashes of light will continue and persist.
Yeah, that is so big. When you take out the Uther first, your team is still able to be engaging in, even if your Uther has gone down because of how much heals he provides. That's why we see teams generally focus on other heroes, because once he goes into Flash of Light mode, he's in Eternal Devotion. It's not a mana cost for those heals.
Scary prospect though now for this next 15 seconds for Dignitas, who don't have a healer. So trading off a healer for a Sonya, they're just going to have to look for damage here and there, and actually losing the Uther here and continuing on with the damage when the Immortals are going trade for trade actually didn't turn out too bad for them.
Yeah, YL, where they've been doing a ton of damage and Team Dignitas haven't been able to keep up with the damage when it comes to those Immortals, now that's not necessarily the case. Now, both teams are going to have a little bit of a reset. We see this happen sometimes once we hit the halfway point for the Immortals. They go back, they hit at the healing well where they can. They go back and maybe we may even see them pick up a mercenary camp. We see it looks like that is what YL want to do. Then they'll come back, start to the engagement, realizing that the other team is most likely doing the same thing.
Does Dignitas realize that they're away? Because this is a very aggressive stance for them, and I think now they do realize, as they will try and push out as much damage on towards this position, knowing that there were 2 members not in present during all of that. Athero and Zamani still at the front, although Snitch, ADRD and Bakery are very, very comfortable at the back. You can see YL trying to flank, but they're not going to allow them.
Yeah, really great job, Team Dignitas, of realizing that, not being able to see where it's at. Remember, the vision, it does favor YL because of that Zagara, but they've done such a good job of pushing back the creep every time. They have heroes who have been able to do that really effectively, especially with that multi-shot build from Vala.
Still pushing Saudi away there. He's going to get into the thick of things for a moment, and then just back on out. Hit on the Bailings as well, not really doing too much. It's using as a zone potential. What YL needs to do is wrestle slowly across the map over towards their opponent's Immortal, because their Immortal is slowly being chipped away at by the multi-shots of ADRD. Shouty and SBY looking for a very aggressive movement there, and they have been able to push Dignitas off their side.
Dignitas may be able to flank around, but it's so scary because that means that they could potentially lose that person there, and they could be looking at losing a keep on top of that because the respawn time will be quite long. The northern exposure from DD doing serious work to Vala there.
And Shouty also very, very far forward, and there is a really, really good move on towards SBY. They could blow up a good defensive wall there to try and stop that from happening, and actually Valerie goes down during all of that to SBY at the very back with the sustain that he has available to him, with the self-sustain that he had available to him.
We've got Zoning Phoenix coming out trying desperately to stop this Immortal from being taken down by YL. They've said enough is enough. You cannot have a third Immortal in a row, because they haven't even taken out any fourths on the side of YL yet. They desperately want to get this. They know that their Immortal is still healthier than the side of YL's if they could just make it over there somehow.
Yeah.
But their poke damage, that's the person who was taken out.
It's got to be careful. It's a 4v5 at the moment. Athero trying to slow down Holy Ground around once again here to slow them down as much as possible, but Shouty as well as SBY getting that poking damage in slowly but surely. They are making up ground here on these Immortals. YL have made a beautiful little meal out of being able to push from their Immortal to their opponent's Immortal, get themselves a kill, and they're going to be able to pick up yet another Immortal. Great moves here by Team YL.
Man, Zagara is so good on this battleground. Mutalisk was sitting forever on that Immortal, taking it out. And despite the fact that their Immortal was so incredibly low, it's YL who once again are able to take out Bel'Ath and start pushing in toward keep structures on the side of Team Dignitas.
They have a really good hold on this map at the moment, a really good hold. Dignitas is scrambling, despite the fact that they have what I would consider to be a pretty comfortable composition for them. They are not getting the business done. This Immortal is going to push on, not as strongly as other Immortals because they did so much damage to their opponents while that was going on, but still, YL persists, and they are looking for a lockdown on someone.
I wanted to mention that ADRD actually went for Executioner on Vala. So not a Stone Skin, not blood for blood, full-on damage, dealing more damage to opponents who are rooted, stunned, or slowed.
At least they didn't lose themselves to keep though there, did Dignitas at all, as we have the back off now. Still very even in the experience as well, so level 20 Storm talents coming in later will be, they'll be kind of blow for blow. It should be okay as they try and take the easy camp down towards the bottom of these. Khazra to get some structural damage done. I don't think they've done a damn thing with the majority of what's been going on here.
Yeah, and that's, the structures that provide such a buffer into the late game. Because if you know that you have all of your structures up, you can be a little more aggressive in these team fights, knowing that, hey, if you lose somebody, you lose a fort, that's fine. You still have all of your structures in front of your keep, and more importantly, your core. But on the other side, on Team Dignitas' side, losing a keep now, not only does that buffer gone, but they have catapults consistently pushing here. If all YL really has to do is have these long, drawn-out fights, and catapults are going to start pushing in, and doing damage on their own to the core.
It's all going to be for, when I look at Dignitas' side, it's so much emphasis on Vala because she picked that Executioner, as you rightly pointed out. She needs to be in exactly the right spot here to actually lay down that damage and also make sure she just doesn't die. That's a huge amount of damage gone if she actually falls.
Right, there's no self-sustain. Now, we do sometimes see that paired with the backdraft at level 16 for Kael'thas, but he still went for Arcane Barrier, so he has that at his disposal if he needs to be able to throw out that shield.
And at the same time here, we have those catapults, as you say, just pushing on forwards, up towards the top with the Immortal spawning in 10 seconds. Still pretty even on experience. You can see here Dignitas scrambling for that level 20, wherever they can find it. Arthuro is going to look for experience towards the top. And as these lanes push in, you know, you'd be surprised at how little experience YL is able to accommodate for because the lanes get pushed so far forward.
Yeah, they're trying desperately to pick up those Storm Talons, but you're right, they have to push so far forward that it pulls them out of position. They have to be so careful. You saw them disengage incredibly fast when they saw Team Dignitas coming in because they don't want to get into a fight until they have their Storm tier talents. They could try to make something happen here, but the window is so very small before Dignitas will pick up their own.
Very defensive positions on these Immortals as well, but YL has their Storm Talents likewise. We also see them coming in for Dignitas now, as SBY even, I should say, trying to put on some pressure towards the front. Here comes ETC as well towards the bottom with Zarmani. Shouty still always zoning out. That's a great little combo on towards Athero. It's not going to be enough though, as he moves forward. They're looking to go on towards Zagara here, Athero, but they don't want to go too far deep.
Yeah, they're having such trouble locking somebody down, being able to catch somebody out. Athero now getting hit by the entangling roots, going to throw out some shields. We have full coming down, but Uri goes down.
That is one kill going over towards Dignitas already. Now trying to capitalize on that. They really need to, considering that they do not have a fort towards the top. That top lane is pushing for them. They need big damage on towards this Immortal right now.
Yeah, Team Dignitas are working on this so fast. The Jaina throwing out whatever they can, trying to just push them off wherever they can. But 44 seconds even until Muradin is back is such a hindrance for them. Yeah, they have Sonya, but Sonya, we've seen before, not your solo warrior that you want.
You can see, I mean, during all of these fights, Muradin has been very far forwards. Dignitas has adapted a little bit, but like, okay, if you really want to be this far forwards all the time, we will catch you and we will bring you down. As much as you are a Muradin, they were able to do that. This is going to be a big Immortal here for Team Dignitas. YL has tried to say, well, again, consolation prize, we need to do as much damage to their Immortal as possible, but it's still going to be half health, half shields pushing here and towards one of the lanes. Maybe this is a comeback here for Dignitas.
Yeah, this is really big. This is what they need. They have to try to get, really, they need to push all the way through and start putting serious pressure on a keep. If they can get a keep down, then they relieve the pressure that has been put on themselves because of the fact that there will be catapults pushing against their opponents, and it kind of equalizes that out.
Got to be careful. Got to be very, very careful when you're playing it like this without keeps behind it all. Likewise, so does Team YL here. This is a strong Immortal at the moment. If you get caught in one of those stuns, Dignitas is going to be able to follow it up. They have the full team here. They can push this pretty far. You can already see Arthuro laying down very aggressive Elruin's Mites with that Holy Ground, just in case someone is caught out of position.
Yeah, Arthuro and Zarmany were very far forward, looking for anybody that they could either hit with that Holy Ground, like you mentioned, or even push back with the face mount. They're working on the towers. Still, the shields have to take it out off of this Immortal, but still Zarmany and Arthuro are looking to find somebody out of position to take them out.
Looking for a keep here as well, looking to equalize up the odds at the moment. Team YL does not want this to happen. The keep goes down so rapidly. They don't want to take a fight at the moment here. They know there's a lot of power behind Dignitas. Muradin actually dwarf tosses away. He's got to get himself out of there. He doesn't have it at the moment. The Avatar has already been popped here, but the core is taking significant damage at the moment. The Immortal has been cleaned up, and Arthuro is very, very deep.
Yeah, they're really deep here, but they have to watch out for the gravity lapse, but it does get avoided, so YL are still doing fine. They've been able to push off Team Dignitas, but Team Dignitas, they got the keep, and they got out. So they didn't wipe there, which is oh so important, because that would have been a win condition for YL.
Yeah, definitely. That would have been very scary. These 3 catapults alone are pretty annoying. They should eventually clean up themselves, and oh, this is a very aggressive stance here for Team Dignitas, trying to take away their opponent's hard cap. We see the Holy Ground already being thrown down there very aggressively to try and steal that position, and they do get away with it, and they're still going for more. They were looking for Zagara, but couldn't quite find her.
Yeah, YL very cautious about getting into engagement. They really want to make sure they do on their terms, but looking at, we have more talents at the level 20. Yeah, we have Nexus Frenzy for Vala. So super aggressive, looking for attack speed and attack range. There's no Bolt of the Storm there.
I have not really seen this kind of aggressive Valor play coming out for a long time. Having no Bolt of the Storm there alone, ADRD is relying on just crude positioning alone, and that is a huge thing, because technically, if you allow ADRD in this fight to stay alive, that Nexus Frenzy is going to rip somebody apart.
Absolutely. The only good thing, like safely that comes in for you is the fact that you have the range there. But if they can catch Vala, that's going to be so huge. But to be able to pick that up and say, I'm going for Executioner, I'm going for Nexus Frenzy, even though they found themselves behind here, is crazy. They still feel confident despite the fact that they haven't had the key. They just now got to keep down.
Arthuro launches himself forwards there for a moment, and just going to back on out. They're just trying to jostle for positioning once again. They find themselves instantaneously on the Immortal. This is a really good opportunity here for Dignitas once again. YL is just going to trade off here, but again, with what we have in Valor for the Nexus Frenzy, they are tearing this to shreds.
Yeah, where we've seen YL be the one to take it down so fast, now we're seeing it happen on the side of Team Dignitas with those talent choices. That is so awesome to see. But now we have at halfway point, teams staying in here, not choosing to go back yet. They're choosing to stay and defend, looking for anybody that they could possibly catch out.
This is good old tug-of-war positions once again here for Dignitas, as they're going to try and move forwards, trying to get a gravity lapse onto one member. Shouty's pretty far in here, as Zarmany as well as Arthuro trying to put pressure on towards him. He's a very tanky guy, and looking for the support of his team. They should be fine for now.
Yeah, it takes a lot of damage from Chain Bomb right there. Already Zhao pretty low here, but we'll be able to have some help.
That's a gravity lapse. Oh, great blink out there by Zhui. To make sure he's going to keep himself alive. Very important talent for him at this point. As Zarmany's looking to put on pressure towards FBY. Zhao is in the thick of things. That's a 3-man more. Will YL be able to capitalize on this? The Ring of Frost goes down, but Sanctification is able to save them from the damage. Pushing on towards Zhao here. Gravity lapse on towards him. They're going to blow Muradin. What a turnaround there. What a fight. Zarmany. Oh, you mosh pit madness, man. That was a little bit too quick.
He was just dancing because he was so happy because they've been able to get the takedown on Muradin once again. SBY very far forward, finds himself in the middle of a lot of members, but Divine Shield will save the day, and ETC going to be able to get out for now, but will DD be able to catch him?
DD was on the chase for sure. They're looking for that kill, and Valor went down during all of that, because we forget to mention while we had that one kill go down. What a fight that we saw. Dignitas still needs to scramble for this though. They still need to make sure that's not going to happen. But Zagara quite in a terrible position here. This is a great opportunity. She goes down. Holy Ground seals her in, and the rest of the team does the business. Roots go down down there onto Guiche as they're trying to keep him alive as well, but it looks like he's going to fall. That is a 3-for-1 trade here for Team Dignitas, and SBY has to run away with his tail between his legs.
What an awesome shrink ray by Bakery, just to be able to ensure that Malfurion was slowed enough that they were able to get the takedown there. That is so huge. Not only did they get Zagara, the big damage dealer who's been causing so many problems for Team Dignitas in these Immortal fights, but they get Malfurion on top of it, the support down for 40 more seconds as they're about to get an Immortal. That is just fantastic.
Zarmany making sure SBY has no say in what's going on down towards this Immortal, and we already saw what they did with one Immortal down towards the bottom lane, and now it's round 2 here for Dignitas to try and claim a good opportunity towards the top. They've got to regroup though. They've got 20 seconds window where they can try and make something happen. They're guaranteed that fort, but can they get more is the big question.
And SBY and Zhao D are looking for somebody here. Yeah, they've got the spear and the potential for...
Wait,
the dwarf toss, what is that? Are they going for, they're going for
They're going to backdoor. They're going to try and backdoor. This is crazy.
The lane is so far pushed, they're going to have to try to avoid...
No. If they try and go for this is all or nothing right here. They're waiting for their other members to come along with them, but how are they going to be able to get to them? That's the question.
I think they feel like this push with all of the members is game. Even though it had to go through a fort still, it's so late, it's such a late Immortal.
They're waiting for the rest of them to be engaged. They realize, they know, where are they right now? Everyone is basing overall. Is Team Dignitas going to continue basing? No, they're not. They're trying to bait it out.
They are! This is so awesome!
Oh my god! The Immortal's going to be pushing here on towards the key. SBY here, trying to put some damage out on towards it, but Zarmany moves forward, holding ground, sealing SBY in. They try and push him back. The Mosh Pit, they're looking for the kill. Sanctification as well with Divine Shield, trying to blow him up. The Keeper's already gone down here. There's the Ring of Frost. YL is trying to desperately hold on against this. Mind games everywhere, left, right, and center, but Muradin falls already.
Muradin is down, and that's the first takedown already as the Immortal. And though it has fallen, but they're still after this. Azrael has to be careful, though, because he is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, Tony goes down as well. It's 2-for-0 trade at the moment. Liang has to move back. DD is going to end up falling. Dignitas here is on the warpath. They're going for the core. They're going to right-click this and just bring it on down. There is not enough power here for Team YL to drown this out. Our hero may fall, but in the end, his ghost will be victorious. GG! And Dignitas moves on to the semi-finals here at the World Championship. What a game we just saw.
That game was insane, but that ball of play, realizing exactly what they needed to pick, and even being behind and still picking these aggressive talents that aren't safe at all for her is just so, it's so cool to see. It's fantastic play from both teams, but Team Dignitas, they're moving on, and they're going to get to face Navi in the semifinals.
Oh yes, they are. The rematch of the European Championship. Dignitas versus Navi is now chalked up and ready to go tomorrow. But Kubi, I've got to catch my breath a little bit here. That was quite intense at the end. What little mind games we had going on there.
Oh, I absolutely love to see that. Both teams really knew something fishy was going on.
Yeah.
We don't see all 5 of them. They know that they need to defend this last push. And, just trying to force them back, they really just saw through the plan. Much like we saw in the draft, it seemed as though Dignitas really just had YL's number. Now, in case you guys were wondering why Sanctification is such a strong ability, as if some of those last fights weren't strong enough, let's head on over to the Windows 10 game DVR replay so that we can take a look at one of these really critical moments. Now, this is a really nice Storm Bolt coming in from Zhao D. Is able to pick up a nice pickup onto these 2 targets. This is going to signify the rest of the members to move in, throw down your skill shots, and pick off all 3 of these targets. And we're going to advance this just a little bit. We can see so many skill shots, basically making a massive Venn diagram in this area. And we're even going to see a Maw get thrown down almost immediately after. And this is where we see that amazing Sanctification come in. You'll even see ETZ at this point get pushed out of that Maw because he's invulnerable due to that ability. So we're going to advance it right here. There's the Maw coming in. They know they have an advantage, and this signifies the team to go in, continue to push. Now, one other thing, since they have this advantage, they have a 4v5 moving forward, they know that they just need to isolate heroes. They see SBY up in the top, they're going to try to isolate him, and this is a great point that we were talking about earlier with ETC. You don't have to make massive plays with the mosh pit. You just need to be able to isolate heroes out from this. So they pull out the healer and one of the big damage dealers. There is no way that they are going to be able to peel out for SBY in this position. He's going to go down. This is why warrior play, even though back in the beginning of Heroes, you know, some would say it was maybe the easier class to play. Now it is showing why there is so many technical ways to play these types of heroes. So go ahead and advance it out. We see SBY gets taken out. A great follow-up to this mosh pit. Amazing play once again from Dignitas.
Yeah, they may have ended up dying off to the ring there towards the end, but it's all about getting your job done in those moments. So very, very cool stuff to see there. As Dignitas now moves on, and we can actually check in with the bracket to confirm exactly what has happened here in Group A and really look at exactly how those roads have gone down. You can see that Cloud9 taking that first spot in the semi-finals here in Group A, and then down towards the bottom, Team Dignitas being able to defeat Team YL twice to be able to advance on. That's quite the feat here, Gilly.
It absolutely is, because the first one, we mentioned it before, the first match was very, very close. And although these games looked close, Team Dignitas were able to pick up a 2-0, and that helps them because now they've got a lot of momentum moving into that rematch from the European Championship that you talked about.
Yes, it does. And overall, you know, they felt embarrassed when it came to that result going up against Na'Vi. Those two teams, they were like brothers in arms recently. You know, they've been scrimming together, getting ready and prepared for this. So that is sure to be quite the fiery semi-finals. We have other matches coming up today, of course, throughout this. One more match, even, I should say, as we've just concluded with our Dignitas match moving forward, and the final game here for today will be Braveheart going up against DK, so China going up against Korea here to find out who our other semi-finalists going to be, and they're going to go up against Cloud9, Kubi, so that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be an amazing set of games. We, of course, will see those semi-final games tomorrow.
All right, make sure as well to check in at BlizzCon.com for all the action going down here, not only for Heroes of the Storm, but also Hearthstone, StarCraft 2, a particular favorite of mine, as well as some World of Warcraft that's going on down the line, and even Overwatch things that's going on. Actually, Blizzard's kind of just taking over the world now that I think about it. But for now, let's head over to Anna, over with our winners in Dignitas.
Thank you, Kalaris. I am indeed here with Bakery. Now, we're all still hopping from that last moment where we saw YL try that backdoor against you, and you guys spotted it. Tell us a little bit from your perspective what that was like.
So it was actually Zomni that called it first. We were saying, what are their plays? What can they do? And he said, they're going to try and backdoor. Can we just spam Bs and cancel them? So we all start doing that, and they're not showing on keep. And we know it's happening. Like, just keep going, just keep going. And then we see them, and we're like, okay, let's go. Time to win.
And it was indeed time to win. Such poise we saw from you guys, just thinking of the exact right thing to do to make sure you clinched that win. We also saw the commentators really loved your Karazim play, the Divine Palm. They really loved the aggression in that last game, especially with Vala. What were some of the key things that, in your opinion, helped you come out on top over YL in that last match?
I think the biggest strength of our team is the mechanical skill that we have on our heroes. Like, I play a lot of Karazim. Obviously, I'm fairly well known for it. ADRD has been playing a ton of Valor in practice, like these past 2 weeks. And it's stuff like that that really helps us get ahead of the competition.
And indeed you are now. You are moving on to the semifinals where you will face Na'Vi. And in one way, they're kind of your rivals, right? You were up against them in the European Championships and you'd like to prove yourself that first place instead of second place. But in the same way, you're also kind of allies in that you're coming from the same region. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with them and how you feel like the semifinal match against them might go?
So ever since Prague, we've been like close scrim partners with Na'Vi. We've been playing them many, many hours per day, usually like 4 to 5. So we're really friendly with them, obviously, and when we found out we had to play each other in the semis, both teams were really sad. We're like, oh, we can't play you anymore. We're going to have to scrim with other teams. But yeah, I definitely think it's a very good matchup to watch as well, because our strengths and weaknesses like collide with each other really well, and that makes it exciting. So hopefully we can beat them, but to be honest, EU team in the finals, so I'm happy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Congratulations, and we love watching teams that know each other very well, so we will very much look forward to that, won't we, guys? Congratulations again. Guys, we will be back with more Heroes of the Storm right after this.